Detroit Lions fans, I have calmed down, but this offseason, I'm going to be a voice of the people. I'm going to be your voice of reason. I'm going to help you fight through all the fluff that you hear in the city. See, I was ahead of the curve. I was ahead of the curve. I saw this coming from a mile away, and that is the Detroit Lions, the utter failure that the 2025 season is. Because I'm about to blow your mind right now. I've been talking about the reckoning for the Detroit Lions, and there needs to be a reckoning after this season. Someone needs to get fired, and I'm not talking about Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell, but a lowly servant, a lowly coach needs to be fired. Somewhere down the line, somebody got to go. Just like we did with Aubrey Pleasant 3 years ago. Fired him, turned the corner ever since. Have not lost a game. Or we might have lost one after we fired him, and then haven't lost 2 games since that moment. You see from the banner below, what's next for the Detroit Lions? Because our season is essentially over. It's over. And it's been a long time since we had to talk about the offseason during the season. As a matter of fact, it's been over 3 years. 3 years ago, now, in December of 2022, you know what we were doing? We were doing how the Detroit Lions can make the playoffs using the ESPN playoff machine. And when we were, matter of fact, this week or coming up this weekend, we lost to the Carolina Panthers and had to win 2 straight and needed some help from Seattle. The Lions are in that situation today. But we'll talk about that in another video. I was going to talk about that, how the Detroit Lions now have to make the playoffs, that you need to win essentially every game. 10-7 is not going to do it. 10-7 is not going to do it. The Bears have 10 wins. The worst they could be is 7. The 49ers right now have 10 wins. The worst they could be is 10-7. That the worst that the Lions, the best the Lions could be, would be 11-6. And they would need to win 3 straight, and they would need the Packers, the 49ers, and the Bears to lose 3 straight. Now, one of those games with the Bears is against us, but that will be another video. This video is, where do we go from here? Even if the Lions make the playoffs, it doesn't matter. They're going to be in the 7th seed. And even if somehow they miraculously get to the 3rd seed, something like that, 1st seed is off the table. Do you think we have what it takes to go all the way? Not what I saw today. Not from DJ Reed. Not from that secondary. How long are injuries going to be a crutch that we lean on? Last year, we had all these people injured. It didn't matter. It's Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell's job to get this team to fight through injury. Every team is going to be injured every year, and every team is going to have to deal with it. Ours, we don't know how. We don't know how. Kirby Joseph, Brian Branch, Terrion Arnold, Ennis Rakestraw, right? A lot of people. So it's going to be a reckoning this offseason, and I'm going to lead the charge. But I want to tell you why I think it needs to be a reckoning. Let me show you. Let me switch over to the NFL playoff machine. And this got me a little teary-eyed earlier today, I'm not going to lie. The Rams with the win today, not only are they the 1st seed, they clinched a playoff berth. So no matter what happens, the Rams will not go home at the beginning of January, at least to pack up their lockers anyway. And you see here, there are 6 spots remaining for the NFL playoffs. Go down right now. The Bears are 10-4 in the 2nd seed, up 5 spots. Went from the 7th seed to the 2nd seed with a win today. The Eagles, the Bears will be stuck here. No movement after, the Dallas game is over. Dallas lost, and they need to win out or they're done. The Bears, you see where they are? The Eagles, they can't move. They won today. They can't move. Buccaneers are still in 4th, Seattle Seahawks, San Francisco 49ers, and Green Bay Packers. The Lions are 8. The Panthers are 7-7, and the Cowboys lost. They already were at 1%. They have a 1% chance, as you can see here. But the reason that I'm asking the Lions fans is, where do we go from here? Is because it's something that I want you to see. I want you to see something and understand where my frustration comes from, and understand why during the offseason, when I was talking about the pass rush and Brad Holmes not doing anything, you can understand why I was saying those things. And it is because I want you to see something that popped out to me. The Bears started the season 0-2, which means that they statistically had a 12% chance to make the playoffs. They started 0-2. And right now they are the second seed. They have gone, since starting 0-2, they have gone 10-2 in their last 12 games. Now, if we go over to the AFC side, the Houston Texans right now are 9-5. They started 0-3. 0-3. We looked up some information earlier today, and I want you to hear this. I want you to see it. Because when you see it, it's going to hit differently. How many teams, your Detroit Lions, have started 1-1? We have not gone 2-0 under Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes. We haven't. We've started the season in 2021. It was 0-2. In 2022, it was 1 something, 1-1, I believe. 2023, 1-2, 4. You get the point. We have not lost 2 consecutive games, so we've started 1-1 for 3 straight seasons, I believe it was. But I want to show you something, because this is why I get as upset as I do. This is why I'm as demanding as I am, because there's no excuse for this stuff. There's none. And now you understand my frustration, because I'm a regular fan who feels like most of you who refuse to buy in to the Brad Holmes glazing. Everyone gets blamed. Dan Campbell gets blamed. He coaches the men. But I will tell you what, Dan Campbell has done a phenomenal job outside of a few fourth down plays, play calling. For the second time in his tenure, he's taken over play calling. The first time it led to the elevation of Ben Johnson as our offensive coordinator. This time, Dan needs to hire an offensive coordinator, and it needs to be out of the organization. Hire somebody from outside. Enough with this grit stuff. Enough with this inside man stuff. Something needs to change. This team is not going to ever get over the hump. And I'm glad that you guys are starting to see it now. It might take a colossal failure like the Detroit Lions not making the playoffs for some change to be made. And what I mean by that is for Brad Holmes to see what he needs to do. That the grit mantra, how fitting is it that 7 former Detroit Lions went over to the Bears? 7. And yes, some of them are on the practice squad. One of them is named C.J. Gardner-Johnson. I mean, at this point, he probably would have been a decent safety to have. I'm not saying that he didn't cause a ruckus while he was here and all that stuff after he left. But sometimes you gotta tuck your pride away. You gotta tuck the arrogance away and get this team better. Check this out. Look at the odds of making the playoffs. Check this out. How many teams have started 0-3 and made the playoffs? Only 6 teams in NFL history have started 0-3 and have made the playoffs. A rare feat achieved by the 1981 Jets, the 1982 Buccaneers, the 1992 Chargers, who actually started 0-4, the 1995 Detroit Lions. Well, there you go. You have that. The 1998 Bills, and the 2018 Houston Texans, which will be the team to do it again, if they can hang on and make the playoffs. I think that's going to be an embarrassment for this organization. I think it should be an embarrassment to the fan base. It should be an embarrassment to Sheila Hemp and Martha Firestone. It should be an embarrassment to the players who play for the Detroit Lions. You let a team, I can't paint a worse picture. Picture this. You lose your offensive coordinator, and you could argue that Aaron Glenn was a better DC. I'm going to let you have that argument. If you want to, if that's something you believe. I haven't looked into the numbers. I really don't know. At first, it seemed like Kelvin Shepard was doing his thing, and now this looks like Aaron Glenn's defense. Maybe it's not the coordinator. Maybe it's the personnel. Maybe it is. Maybe it is. Maybe it's the personnel. But how fitting it would be in a year in which you lose your offensive and defensive coordinator. Your offensive coordinator is probably going to make the playoffs, real good chance, possibly win the division. You could also flame out and lose all 3 games and don't make the playoffs. But nobody expected the Bears to be immediately in division or playoff contention. You didn't, nor did I. Nor did I want to see it. But how fitting it would be for your offensive coordinator to not only make the playoffs, have a chance to put you out of the playoffs. You lost to your former quarterback in the head-to-head. And those 2 teams quite possibly meet in the NFC Championship game. And while you're at the house after you cleaned out your locker, and now you're on your way to Cancun with the rest of the teams eliminated. See, all I did all season was talk about it. That's all I did. Because the numbers tell you a story. This team did not get drastically better. I hear y'all in the comment section screaming for Carlton Davis III. We signed DJ Reed. You might have called it a lateral move back in March. Doesn't seem so now, does it? And we traded for Carlton Davis, but we could not give him that extra to stay. A reckoning needs to come for this team. And I think it might be best for this organization to not make the playoffs. Just like it was best today that I think we had Aiden got a half a sack. Right now, him and Mohammed have the same amount of sacks. He shared a sack with someone else, and then Roy Lopez got a sack. It might be in the best interest of this team, this fan base, and this general manager and coach combination for us to lose and not make the playoffs. If I would have told you in March that you would be 8-6 through week 15, you would scoff at that, wouldn't you? Because those who didn't have us missing the playoffs had us Super Bowl contenders. And now we're not even in the playoffs. And I think it's despicable. And you know what the Houston Texans have that we don't? The number 1 defense. Going into week 14, they had the only defensive line duo that had double-digit sacks. I believe it was Daniil Hunter and Will Anderson Jr. or something like that. They both belong. And the guy that was traded after C.J. Stroud was taken, D'Amico Ryans, who is a defensive man at heart, decides to trade up for Will Anderson Jr. And no disrespect to Jahmyr Gibbs. But defense wins championships. Offense sells tickets. By the way, the Detroit Lions have the highest price tickets in the NFL. And they might not even make the playoffs. And you're going to get shown up by a team that started 0-3 in the AFC, the harder conference, usually. The NFC is balling out of control this year. It's like the East in basketball. The Western Conference has always been the stronger conference. The AFC is always the stronger conference. But this year, the NFC came to play. And the Lions ain't been invited to the party. So I'm here, and I'm about to get comfortable. I've been comfortable for 4 years. And now I'm actually more comfortable in my skin because I have told you, like it was and like it is for the past 5 years. 4 years on this channel and 1 year on another channel. I've told you, you cannot turn a garden hose into a housewife. You can't do it. You can't take the mystery men and practice squad warriors and lesser thans on the football field and take them and make them somebody that they're not. Micah Parsons went out today. The damage he did is already done. It's already done. Might have set up Green Bay to make a run He came in, he did his job. Unfortunately, he's down. Sure, they still don't regret that trade because without him, who knows where the Packers would be. Notice last year they didn't have him, and who won the division? Your Detroit Lions. So, as there have been, the Bears had a 12% chance to make the playoffs at 0-2, and now they are the second seed. The Houston Texans were only 6 teams before they will be the 7th team to possibly make it in the playoffs, which is a tremendous accomplishment, even to be 9-5 in the NFL, in NFL history. And your Detroit Lions, who started 1-1, who at one point in the season were 4-1, and have now, the Lions have gone over that stretch 4-5 since, have 1-1, lost 1, 1-1, lost 1, and 1-1, lost 1-1. But here's the good news, Lions fans. And I be dropping bars, bro. Look, I'm not gonna apologize. I see these other Lions creators, man, and I'm like, oh, now you get it. Now you understand. That's because you've decided to look at the stats and the facts and take the Honolulu. Stop trying to please this doggone fan base. You here to tell them the truth, not trying to get AdSense or whatever else you're trying to do. But here's the bar that I'm gonna drop. Maybe the Lions, maybe here's a record that might pick you up. Maybe this is our Super Bowl for this season. The Lions, what they lost to the Rams, now have a chance to become the first team and to claim the record for the first team in the NFL to win 16 consecutive games after losing a game. They tied the record now at 15 with the victory over the Dallas Cowboys, and now with the loss to the Rams. If they beat the Pittsburgh Steelers in the last home game of the year, they will have the record. The record for most consecutive wins after losses at 16 will belong to your 2025 Detroit Lions. Maybe that is a stat as you sit and get ready for a long offseason that we're not even in yet. But if the Lions lose one more game without a collapse down the stretch by the Chicago Bears, they need to lose to the Green Bay Packers. The Chicago Bears, they need to lose to the San Francisco 49ers in Week 17, and the Chicago Bears, in what will probably be a freezing cold game, need to win against the Detroit Lions. If they don't do, that's the only logical way that the Lions get in. Bears have to drop 1. They have to drop 1 before they see us, and then they have to drop ours in Week 18. But, like I said, it's not over yet, but the reality is staring us in the face. It's more than likely over. And even if the Lions somehow pull this off, it doesn't matter. A Super Bowl is the only thing that does. So gear up, y'all. It's going to be a long offseason. This channel is made possible by viewers, subscribers, and members just like you. It's because of your support I get to do what I do. You could be anywhere else on YouTube, but you choose to rock with me. Are you tired of those glazed donuts yet? Because some of y'all done had a feel, and some of your favorite Lions creators been stuffing your face for 4 years. And when Dan Campbell said about the kneecap speech, he was talking about me too. You can call me whatever you want, bro. Narcissist, whatever you want to call me. I was standing on this kneecap ledge by myself for years, crashing out at the trade deadline, crashing out at the draft, when we drafted Ennis, when we took Tyleek, when we didn't fortify this team. I was crashing out, and I had every right to, because now you are too. Take care of yourself and each other. And as always, go Lions. I'm not a narcissist, y'all. I'm not. I'm just tired. I've seen this, and it feels, I was telling my wife, this is the first time that, like, we've legitimately felt like this since like the beginning of this whole era. This is, I think that this is worse than the losing. I think, honestly, I think this is the worst that we felt under this regime because year one, you expected nothing and you got nothing. Year two, Sheila had to come out and save face, right? We turned it around. Haven't lost 2 games in a row in 3 years. This year, we had all the expectations and we're falling flat on our face. Go Lions.